The people who make some of the internet's most beautiful science videos, together with game studio Tucana Interactive, just made a game. Starbirds looks exactly like a Kurzgesagt video that you can play. But the real question here is it just eye candy or an actual game worth your time? For anyone who doesn't know, firstly, shame on you. Kurzgesagt is a YouTube channel famous for turning the universe's biggest questions into vibrant micro-documentaries. Think black holes, the meaning of life, crazy what-if scenarios, but told with bright birds and great storytelling. And now they've taken that signature style and turned it into Starbirds, a game about exploration, building and logistics in space. And while it is clearly oozing Kurzgesagt's signature personality, you'll need to see how it plays, so let's get to that. Good day to you my friends, I'm Kenator and welcome to my early access review of Starbirds. And in my reviews I do try to keep spoilers to an absolute minimum and give you my honest thoughts, good and bad. Big thanks to the devs for providing the game key for this review. The game kicks off with your crew waking up from their cryo eggs after a long journey to survey distant asteroids in search of minerals. The introduction and progression is spot on in my opinion, delivering newer mechanics, buildings and resources with every level, never dumping too much on the player but also not too slow either. This helps deliver a relaxing, zero stress experience. Every level essentially starts the same. You have a varied selection of asteroids, some are reachable straight away and you have knowledge of the resources there, and some need scanning. But you can generally pick anywhere to get going and place your first launcher to send stuff back to your mothership. These fit in the large craters only, along with landing pads once unlocked a bit later. And you can rotate around each asteroid to pick the best spot or to work from the best angle. Resources are simply gathered by small extractors, but the interesting part for me is how it all comes together as a factory, because unlike traditional factory games, you won't find a single straight line or conveyor here. Instead, resources are sent by tubes, which you literally paint the placement of directly onto the asteroid surface with your mouse. And these can't overlap, which can really add to the challenge as you get deeper into the game, as well as setting itself apart from more traditional factory games. Thankfully, even later in the more messier setups you'll create, you can still check what's in a pipe by hovering over it or watching the different coloured resources go through, which I thought was a nice little touch. There are also a few processing buildings that you'll get along the way, and these will change either one or two resources into something new. Sometimes these will need to be placed into the smaller craters if they are available, and some might need power to operate, and sometimes both. As more resource types are added, the simple limitations of plumbing them all together without overlap and the limited space on each asteroid becomes an enjoyable task to complete. Although I don't expect this to truly challenge anyone that has played a factory game before, outside of completing the optional harder objectives, but more on those a little bit later. And for what this game is, and specifically who it's from, I think this is fine. As mentioned, Kurzgesagt is used to making learning fun, and part of that involves presenting things simply in a broken down way for anyone to understand. Crazy Factorio or satisfactory levels of complexity were never the goal here, which means it's also a great game to challenge younger minds or to sit and play with them to get them curious about space and science. The UI is very clean and simple, but sometimes can get in the way. I'd love to see a toggle in the menus to auto close a lot of these dialogue boxes for the various quests after a few seconds, as they can take up so much screen space. The bottom of your screen is your build menu, which eventually switches from this small selection to a tab system to keep everything organised as you gain more buildings. In the top right we have one of the most important though, and that's your main info box. If you click on an item from a quest, you'll see the recipe for it up here, and each subcomponent also being clickable to show their recipes and so on, with easy tabs at the top for getting back to what you were looking at previously. It also has a kind of wiki tab as well, where you can click any unlocked building to show more info on it. I would love to see a small improvement on this however, showing items that can be made from the selected resource and not just the recipes that are used to make it. But since this is early access, they can easily add this as they go if more people want it. You have two main spending systems that are shown in the top left, credits and tech points. Credits pay for buildings, tech points are used to unlock new buildings, upgrade them and scan asteroids. You can get more of both simply by completing quests for the ship, You can do module quests one at a time, which both provide upgrades to your mothership and star level, as well as general resource quests which can also reward either credits or tech points, and you can mix and match any two of these ones too. Add to that story or mission related quests, and you can collect quite the lineup on the left, which can also be clicked and dragged to create a priority order. Although, I found that you could mostly ignore this feature as it had very little effect on my gameplay. They've also made sure you absolutely cannot get stuck if you spend all of your money and tech points. Not only does every resource you collect generate a passive income for your money, you can also collect it with a rover that you can drop on an asteroid and play this sort of mini game where you draw the route out for it to drive, which works much in the same way as Control for the Pipes. You can collect both the credits in orange and tech points in green. I also found it fun to do just for a little break between setting up new resource lines. Now it doesn't take long before you are running setups across multiple asteroids, with resources being sent between them, and I found one of the optional levels turned this into quite a puzzle. And that's my first negative. You can get all the way through the game and not be given the option for any of these side missions, which branch off the main mission path. Because a mission always goes straight to playing the story animation after it, which then leads straight into the next mission itself. You only find them through either checking the rewards in the menu and noticing those extra missions, or going to the mission select in the main menu. And that rewards menu is where you can also see extra objectives. These are only shown at the end of a level normally with your score, and it would be nice to see these shown to the player at the start of the mission so you can attempt them. For instance, a common one for pretty much every level is to complete it to a certain star level without upgrading anything. The second you do, it pops up with a little notice in the corner saying you missed an achievement, which can be confusing and disappointing in a wait what, why kind of way. Thankfully you can restart each mission and try it again anytime, but at least knowing about these and being shown them at the start would avoid this. My biggest beef, however, is how short the game is and how it just ends. Less than a mere 10 hours in, and then all that's left is a few side missions and the optional extra objectives if that's your jam. While this could at least double your playtime, it won't be for everyone. Not only that, I also sadly had a bug where right at the end, when I finished the last mission, it didn't even play the last animation sequence. I only found it in the level select, but I'd say that's pretty minor as the only bug that I found, and will be fixed pretty quickly as it was a pre-release bug. While all the levels play out over 2 systems, more will be coming through the early access updates. But there is no word yet on just how much more either. Hopefully that changes soon with a roadmap. Now, short games aren't all bad news. It depends on the value of the game itself to you, the player. But since the price wasn't revealed at launch, I can't comment much on this. So you'll have to make up your own mind post-launch on if it's good or not for this level of game time. The other factor, of course, is that you might just want to support Kurzgesagt, and the game is just a bonus. So if you're already a fan, this is certainly a must-play. But for people already into automation games, you might find the lack of content frustrating, or at least disappointing. Overall though, I'd still recommend it, along with watching any of Kurzgesagt's content here on YouTube too. It's a vibrant, fun little game with a low skill ceiling that can be enjoyed by a much wider range of players than a traditional factory game. Now do let me know your favourite Kurzgesagt video in the comments below, subscribe for more sci-fi and space gaming content, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Kenitor, out.